Welcome inside the cabin, with me, your host, Anna Wolf. For many years, I thought I was alone, never really understanding the importance of community, and the one word I almost never believed in was trust. But here I am, showing up in a new way, a way I hope brings you solace. I'm creating these podcast episodes for my community, for you, my fellow wolf. The stories I share in this cabin are my own experiences, and they're finally ready to be told with the intention of helping people connect the dots for themselves. We are capable of so much more, yet we often find ourselves in moments of doubt, feeling small, not pretty enough, not smart enough, and believing the lies that we are somehow less than we are. And for so long, those labels were my anthems. Well, not anymore. Now I see life as an ongoing school, a place to keep learning, unlearning, and growing. I'm here to remind you that we aren't alone on this quest for more. By the time you leave each episode, I hope you'll start asking yourself better questions and maybe even start telling yourself better lies. Expansion comes from when we fill ourselves with an empowering knowledge that reminds you of your strength and capability. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, but you can think of me as your muse, your mentor, and fellow wolf, walking alongside you, bravely venturing into the unknown. Welcome to Anna, Wolf in the Cabin. Do you ever find yourself so busy that you look at your packed schedule and think, wow, I'm actually really proud of myself, only to look at the same schedule a month later and wonder, how do I cut back on all these different projects that are running at the same time? Today's topic, I'm going to talk to you about the following question that I've been posing for myself probably in the last year or so. Am I being ambitious or am I being ungrateful? When I finally sleep, when I actually allow myself to rest, something shifts. My brain feels more clearer, not always, but sometimes after a real rest, I see the world again, the trees, the sky, the little details, the ones I usually rush past. They feel more alive. I had one of those moments today. I took an afternoon nap, and when I woke up, I had this deep sense of knowing. It was like my body and mind had recalibrated, and I could finally see that everything was already in its perfect place, exactly as it should be. But here's the thing. When I'm not rested, when my mind is racing with a million ideas, I lose that clarity. That's when I start questioning, are my 5 different projects running at the same time a sign of ambition? Or am I chasing something and trying to fill a void? How do I know if I'm just plain hustling or if I'm being ungrateful? There's a huge difference between being ambitious and being ungrateful. And I think so many of us forget how beautiful our lives already are. We get caught in the hustle, constantly jumping from one thing to the next until we pause, really pause, and ask ourselves, am I doing this because I'm truly led to, or am I just trying to fill some kind of emptiness? A question that perhaps can't be answered with stuff. That's why I always say, if it feels forced, get down from the horse. Or sometimes, if it feels forced, let patience endorse. I love hard work. I love creating. But when I start feeling overwhelmed, when I say, I just can't keep up, well, that's my little sign. It's my cue to stop, step back, and take a walk with my dog. Eat a packet of crisps in the park while watching the sunset go down. Well, that's at least my new thing. Overwhelm isn't just stress. It's often resistance. Well, not often. Always. And for me, that resistance comes from caring too much about the outcome instead of being present in the moment. I start worrying about how something will look, how it will be received, rather than just focusing on the creating. So how do we check in with ourselves more often? How do we stop to make sure we're moving with intention and not out of fear? Here are a few questions that I do ask myself. Anna, Are you creating from a place of excitement and purpose, or are you trying to escape discomfort? If your urge to start something new comes from restlessness, avoidance, or fear of stillness, it might be a distraction rather than true alignment. If you pause and do nothing for a moment, does this idea feel right? When an idea is truly aligned, it doesn't disappear under stillness. It deepens. But if it only feels urgent when you're running on stress, it might not be what you truly need. And my last question, is this action rooted in love and trust or fear and lack? I know so many musicians, artists, creatives who struggle with this, who feel like their minds are lying to them. It really breaks my heart. I can't change their lives for them, but I hope that by sharing this, someone out there feels a little less alone in their anxiety, in their demons. I've been there too. The overthinking, the self-doubt, the cycles of beating yourself up. It's real. It's visceral. But there are ways through it. And it's a constant studying of finding ways to help guide yourself in the best way possible. I mentioned earlier that I have so many projects running at the same time. And even though I've had moments of resistance, I'm still here, recording this episode, realizing that I too have a very long way to go. But life isn't just about chasing dreams or completing projects. It's about being and staying in the process. The joy is in the creating, and we should never stop dreaming or making. But creativity flows best in moments of rest. So, what does rest look like for you? We live in a world where dopamine cravings are, of course, at an all-time high. It's easy to keep chasing the next thing. But how do we start seeking change within ourselves? Let's look at some people who've struggled with this and found a way through. One of my favorites is from Elizabeth Gilbert, and she talks about chasing ambition versus finding alignment. And Elizabeth Gilbert says, and by the way, she's the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and so she talked a lot about the difference between chasing projects out of fear versus moving with true intention. And in her book, Big Magic, she explains that forcing creativity, working from a place of desperation, often leads to burnout and uninspired work. After Eat, Pray, Love became a massive success, she felt pressured to write another book immediately, afraid she'd lose momentum. She rushed into another project, but it didn't feel alive. It felt forced. Eventually, she scrapped the book entirely. That experience taught her to trust timing, to wait for inspiration that feels real rather than fabricated. You can measure your worth by your dedication to your path, not by your success or failures. Elizabeth Gilbert. And that brings me to another question. Am I doing this because I love it or because I fear of standing still? Here's another case. John Mayer. Chasing success versus finding authenticity. John Mayer had a similar struggle. Early in his career, he became a massive success with songs like Your Body is a Wonderland. But as his fame grew, so did his need for validation. He later admitted that he was more focused on impressing people than making music that truly felt like it was aligning. Then he lost his voice. His vocal cords forced him to step away from music. And in that space, he realized he'd been running on external pressure instead of internal alignment. And when he came back, he shifted his approach, creating music that felt way more authentic and like his work, born and raised in the search for everything. Sometimes you're just trying to fill a void with achievement, and it's never going to work. The moment I stopped proving and started expressing, I felt free. John Mayer. So maybe that's the real lesson here. Are we proving or are we expressing? Hearing John Mayer's story really resonated with me. I can't even begin to count the times I have fallen ill due to resistance. For example, if I'm operating from a place of needing affirmation or validation, I often notice my vocal cords swelling up or my glands becoming inflamed. For me, that's a clear sign of a blockage. Tension in the neck or spasms can be a direct reflection of where the mind is at. Our body speaks to us. It starts with a whisper, but if we ignore it, that whisper eventually turns into a scream. The next time you feel the urge to jump into another project, another idea, another hustle, pause. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? What is my intention? Creativity isn't just about movement. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is stop, rest, and let the right ideas find us. You are not alone. Thank you for listening. Until next time, keep seeking, keep feeling, and most of all, keep growing. Steadily, bravely, walking into the unknown together. If you like what you heard, please leave a comment and subscribe for more stories from Anna, Wolf in the Cabin.